sometimes things go horribly, horribly wrong.
See, I knew where you're going with this, man.
And the thing about this, if they're going to nail you with it, if they're going to pin this on you, you know, you might as well get it. If that's going to happen regardless, and it looks like they got all this stuff and all this evidence. If they're going to pin it on you, you might as well get it pinned on you for the right reasons.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said to you earlier, man. I didn't. Oh my God, you're trying to get me to admit to something I didn't do. I didn't do it. I mean, take me down and wait until trial, man. Just take me down to jail because I didn't do anything. I'm not admitting to something I didn't do.
I understand, but do you think that if you go down to jail and a lot of times when we talk to people, they think, if I just maintain that I didn't do it, that it's all going to go away? Do you think it will?
I know if I did something, they would know that I did it.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
I'm innocent.
Because you're innocent of killing this guy.
I'm innocent of even being there. I'm not involved in this in any way. All right? It's the truth. There's nothing I can do or say about that to make it different. My hope is I don't have any hope, man. I'm going to jail for something I didn't do. I'm not going to admit to doing it to get a lesser sentence because I didn't do it.
But if it didn't go down just the way this guy's saying, why should you take the rap for something?
Because I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice, man. I'm telling you what happened. I'm telling them what happened.
But what if you still had the choice to tell your side of the story, and it wasn't exactly like whatever this other guy's saying was? Why not?
Look, I want to be straight up with you, man. I really don't appreciate you coming in here and doing this. All right? I told them the truth. All right? No matter what, that is the truth. That's what happened. All right? I'm not hoping that anything changes. I'm hoping that they realize that I didn't have anything to do with it. I'm hoping that the evidence will prove that I didn't do it.
They're not, though. They don't believe you.
Well, that sucks, taking it to court. I have to go to trial, dude. I didn't do anything. And I'm not going to admit to doing something I didn't do. I can't do or say anything else about it.
On Halloween night 2001, the small college town of Columbia, Missouri, became the setting for a crime that would destroy multiple lives. Not just the victims, but a young man who would lose a decade of his life for a crime he didn't commit. What happened to Ryan Ferguson could happen to anyone. One night of drinking, some missing time, and suddenly, you're facing life in prison based on testimony that would later fall apart in one of the most shocking reversals in American legal history. But what if I told you that the most disturbing part of this story isn't what happened to Ryan Ferguson, but who might have actually committed this crime? Stay with me, because the truth in this case is more disturbing than fiction. Columbia Tribune sports editor Kent Heitholt was working late on Halloween night 2001. Around 2 a.m., he wrapped up his shift and walked to his car in the newspaper's parking lot. What happened next was brutal. Heitholt was attacked from behind, strangled with his own belt, and beaten severely. Tragically, he died at the scene. The only witnesses were the newspaper's janitor, Jerry Trump, who claimed to have seen two young men near Heitholt's car, and a co-worker who heard sounds of a struggle but didn't see the attack. Police collected hair samples, fingerprints, and bloody footprints from the scene, as well as something that was largely overlooked. Documents and column notes for high school basketball. Not odd since Ken was a sports column writer, but as it turns out, those documents could be the key to everything. However, for 2 years, the case went cold. Not a single piece of physical evidence linked Ryan Ferguson to this crime scene. Remember that, because it becomes important later. 2 years after the murder, a 19-year-old named Charles Erickson woke up from a night of Halloween partying with a disturbing thought. He'd been having dreams and fragmented memories about possibly being involved in Heitholt's murder. After seeing a newspaper article about the unsolved case, Erickson began to wonder if his dreams were actually memories. Erickson and Ferguson had been drinking together that night in 2001, hitting up local bars using fake IDs. They were just 17 at the time. Here's where things get uncomfortable. When police interrogated Erickson, he couldn't provide basic details about the crime scene. He didn't know how Heitholt was killed, what he was wearing, or even where the murder took place. The detectives filled in these gaps for him, leading him toward a confession that would implicate both himself and Ryan Ferguson. Watch how the investigation unfolded, and you'll see one of the most textbook cases of how false confessions are manufactured, something we've seen in dozens of wrongful conviction cases across the country.
Like, just to fuck with me, I think, he said, I'd always wanted to kill someone before I was 60 anyway.
What night was this that this happened down here at the Tribune? Was there a special
It was
occasion?
Halloween, yeah.
Halloween, okay. So that night, when you see Ryan choking out, do you think that Ryan was choking to make sure he was dead?
Yeah,
Yeah. Did he say that, or is that just you thinking that?
that's what I think.
Okay. All right. Was there anything taken from the guy that we will know where it's at or will be able to find?
I think his dad found a wallet.
Ryan's dad found a wallet?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Okay. Not for certain on that?
No.
Okay. And what did you say earlier about what you thought he choked him with? Or it's possible he may have choked him with something, is that right?
Yeah.
But you don't know what it was?
No.
Okay. All right. There was obviously a lot of injuries to this guy, so it's pretty obvious that he was hit more than once, but you're not sure who did that, right?
Yeah.
So basically your feeling, or what you're recalling...
I think I just blacked out.
Okay. After you hit the guy and he went down, you see Ryan choking him.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I blacked out in between when I hit the guy and when I see this lady, basically.
Okay. But you did see Ryan choking him out?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hang on this for just a second. Okay. Going back to when you said that you hit this guy with the tool, said you kind of got sick after that. How many times did you think you hit him altogether?
Just once.
Just once. Well, the only problem I have with that is I know that he was hit more than once with the tool.
I'm saying, like, I just hit him once.
You just hit him once. You didn't hit him more than
No.
like
Because I
10 times.
distinctly remember the first time that I hit him. I remember hearing this noise and just seeing his face, and it just made me sick.
And the noise was him screaming?
No, it was like a groan.
Okay, all right. Okay. You'd said earlier, though, that it was possible that you may have hit him more than once. Is that different now?
No, I didn't hit him more than once.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go back to when you were talking about how you saw Ryan strangle this guy. Now, we know what the guy got strangled with. That's kind of the thing I've been holding back from you.
Okay.
All right. Is it possible that you know what he was strangled with and just didn't want to tell me? Because I know.
No, like, I think it was a shirt or something. Or,
well, I know it wasn't a shirt.
like, maybe a bungee cord or, something from his car. I don't see why he'd have a rope in his car.
Well, we know for a fact that his belt was ripped off of his pants and he was strangled with his belt.
Really?
Yeah. Do you see a belt in Ryan's hand? Something look like a rope maybe or a bungee cord?
I don't know.
Okay. You didn't put anything in your hand then?
No. I mean, I don't remember that at all.
Okay. And I don't know what's going on. We know you know what's going on. Maybe you forgot some of it, but you didn't forget all that you're telling me. Number one, I just went and looked at this guy's crime scene photographs, hopefully for the last time until I have to look at him again. Multiple contusions, hits, and strikes on this guy's head. There is no way in hell that you hit this guy once, turned around, and got sick. If you only hit him once, turned away, and got sick, you had to hand the thing off to Ryan because this guy's got head wounds all over his head. We're talking minimum 15 strikes.
I must have done it then. I mean, I don't.
Okay.
Either that or I stopped and he did. I don't know.
Did you ever drop the pipe?
Probably.
Did you hand it off to Ryan?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. So when you say that you must have flipped out, then maybe you flipped out and hit this guy more than once.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that this guy got hit with once. And I'm not barking at you. I'm just telling you the truth because I saw the picture grabs.
It's just I don't.
You got the crime stopper report?
I know. I know. That's
Okay.
fine. And I know, and I told you that already.
Okay. I understand, but I'm just reminding you where we were at.
Yeah. I don't.
Because what's going to happen eventually, I'm sure the crime stopper will come forward now that they know that all this is coming to a head.
That's fine.
And I got to impress this upon you one more time. And this is the last time I'm going to tell you this, Chuck, okay?
Yeah, I know.
Ryan's going to talk. Don't let Ryan tell a story for you.
I don't know what else to do because I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's going to put it on me. Like, I don't really
Probably.
care. I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, I must have just...
You know you're involved and you're ready to take that hit, basically.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Ryan is saying I don't know anything. Wasn't there. I don't know what Chuck's talking about. He's crazy. If it happened, if it went down the way he said, he obviously did it himself. And pretty much that's what's happening. Now,
I mean, I don't know.
I think Detective Short probably explained to you earlier when you visited with him that, pretty much Ryan's story could come out in any form or fashion. I don't know specifically what he told you, but Ryan could say anything from that was his entire idea to I wasn't there, have no idea what he's talking about. Man, the guy must be flipped out, to, well, hey, I was there, but I didn't know we were going to do anything like that. And first thing I know, Chuck's over there beating up on some guy. So you never know what kind of, what form their story's going to take. And certainly from what you've explained to us, it's bottom line not true. Now, with that, here comes the importance of our conversation, and that is to go back from the very beginning to the point that it was even merely suggested that you guys leave.
I don't know. I mean, I don't even. It's just so foggy. I could just be sitting here fabricating all of it and not know. I don't know. I don't.
Well, now, let me go back one step further. You don't know exactly who brought it up initially.
Yeah,
because
it's
because now, like Detective Short told you, Ryan, and I don't think you and I have even gone there. There's specifics about this whole thing that you provided that there was no way for anyone, including yourself, to even know. Bottom line, there would be no way if you hadn't been involved and been there. So my angle to you is I need to know as much information about what Ryan said to you and what Ryan did.
That's the best I can tell you. I don't.
Okay, well, let's start. You were at the club, right?
Yeah.
And my understanding is, and I'm just going to try to briefly explain to you what my understanding is that you guys needed money.
This is all right. This is after reading the newspaper article in October, and this is kind of what I put together with. I mean, I don't know if I'm just flipping out or whatever, but I mean, this is kind of what I put together with what could have happened. I remember we were at the club. We ran out of money. He'd been asking his sister to borrow money, and then from there on, I'm just kind of presuming what happened. I'm making presumptions based on what I read in the newspaper.
Well, you're making accurate presumptions that, like I said, that you would only know if you were there.
Like what? What the lady, the cleaning lady?
That's one.
That was in the newspaper.
Well, no, about what was specifically said
She
to
went
that
to get
lady.
help? I mean...
No, you explained... I'm not going to go
you
there.
understand, I wouldn't be here if I didn't feel guilty about it. But it's just, I can't recollect. And it's just a trip for me to have to sit here and try to look at something that happened that I've read about and try to base what I remember off of that. It's a mind fuck.
Let's just stop right here. Okay. Because I'm not going to sit here and listen to this kind of gibberish, okay? I'm not going to waste my time doing that. No. Wait. Now listen, I'm going to start talking, and you're going to start listening. Okay? All right. I'm going to be point blank with you, pal. Right now, your hind end is the one that's hanging over the edge, and Ryan could care less about it.
Okay.
Okay? Do you understand me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you better start thinking very clearly.
Okay.
Because it's you that is on this chopping block.
Okay.
Am I clear to
Yes.
you?
Yes.
Now, do we need to go back and go through this step by step?
No.
Well, I think we do, and that's what we're going to do. And I don't want to hear, all of a sudden I just think I maybe fabricated all this and,
Well, I don't
No. What I want to hear is exactly what Ryan told you, because that's what's going to keep you in a position to where you're not going to be the sole individual out here responsible for what happened to Kent.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
I can't be any more clear to you than that.
I understand.
And you need to understand it. Okay. We're going to start back at the club. Whose idea was it to go get money because you wanted drinks, you wanted dope, or whatever you
I
wanted?
wanted to go home. It was Ryan's idea.
Ryan's idea,
To the
and
best of my knowledge, yes.
I don't want to even hear whose idea, or best of my knowledge, whose idea was it?
It was Ryan's idea.
Ryan's idea.
On March 10th, 2004, Ryan Ferguson was arrested at the restaurant where he worked. Imagine his shock, being accused of a murder he had no memory of committing, based solely on the statements of a friend who couldn't even recall basic details of the crime. Ferguson maintained his innocence from day one. There was no physical evidence connecting him to the scene. No DNA, no fingerprints, no hair samples, nothing. The case against him relied entirely on two witnesses, Charles Erickson and Jerry Trump, the janitor who claimed to have seen Ferguson at the scene. But something wasn't adding up. How could a case with zero physical evidence and such questionable witness testimony move forward? What you're about to learn about the prosecutor's conduct in this case will leave you questioning our entire justice system. At trial in 2005, the prosecution's case hinged on Erickson's testimony and the identification by Jerry Trump. Despite the complete lack of physical evidence, Ferguson was convicted and sentenced to 40 years in prison. His life was effectively over at age 20. But here's where we need to pay close attention. Both of these witnesses would later recant their testimony entirely, claiming they had been pressured and manipulated by the prosecution. And documents that would have helped Ferguson's defense were mysteriously withheld. Someone wanted Ryan Ferguson behind bars, regardless of the truth. But why? Ryan's father, Bill Ferguson, refused to accept his son's conviction. He became a full-time investigator, dedicating his life to proving Ryan's innocence. He compiled thousands of documents, interviewed witnesses, and kept the case in the public eye. Their breakthrough came when both key witnesses, Erickson and Trump, admitted they had lied during the trial. Erickson confessed he had no actual memory of the crime and had been pressured by police. Trump admitted he never saw Ferguson at the scene and had been coerced by the prosecutor to identify him. In 2012, the case got national attention when 48 Hours aired an in-depth investigation. The evidence of prosecutorial misconduct was undeniable. The prosecutor had withheld exculpatory evidence, including interviews with Trump's wife that contradicted his testimony. On November 5, 2013, after nearly 10 years behind bars, the Missouri Court of Appeals vacated Ferguson's conviction. The court ruled that the prosecutor had withheld evidence that could have helped Ferguson's defense, a clear Brady violation. Ryan Ferguson walked free a week later, on November 12, 2013. The state later announced they would not retry him, effectively clearing him of all charges. But here's the question that has to be asked, and the one that investigators still haven't adequately answered. If Ryan Ferguson didn't kill Kent Heitholt, who did? Remember those fingerprints, footprints, and hair samples found at the scene? None of them matched Ryan Ferguson or Charles Erickson. But they could have matched someone else, someone whose name has been circulating in connection with this case for years. And perhaps most disturbing of all, while investigators were focusing all their energy on prosecuting Ryan Ferguson, this individual was free to walk the streets of Columbia. Michael Boyd was a sports writer who worked with Kent Heitholt at the Columbia Daily Tribune in Columbia, Missouri. His role in the case is significant, primarily because he was the last known person to see Heitholt alive before the murder on Halloween night 2001. According to case records and testimony, Michael Boyd was working late at the Tribune with Heitholt on October 31, 2001. they both left the building around 2 a.m. on November 1st. Boyd has stated that he walked with Heitholt to the parking lot and had a brief conversation with him by Heitholt's car. By his own account, Boyd left the scene at approximately 2:20 a.m., which would place him as the last known person to see Heitholt before the attack that occurred minutes later. During the initial investigation, Boyd was interviewed by police on November 1st, 2001. Key aspects of his involvement include: Boyd provided critical timeline information, stating he left Heitholt at approximately 2:20 a.m. Over the course of multiple interviews, Boyd's statements regarding his movements that night contained some inconsistencies. In particular, the specific time he left the parking lot varied in different statements. His description of his final interaction with Heitholt changed slightly between interviews. His account of where he went immediately after leaving Heitholt evolved, and the vehicle in which he was driving changed on multiple occasions. Despite being at the scene shortly before the murder, Boyd's DNA, fingerprints, or other physical evidence were never reported to have been fully investigated or compared to evidence found at the scene. This was particularly odd since Kent's hand had a clump of what appeared to be dark-colored hair, presumed to have belonged to the attacker, in his hand when he was found. During Ryan Ferguson's trial in 2005, Boyd testified as a prosecution witness. His testimony helped establish the timeline that the prosecution used to argue that Ferguson and Charles Erickson could have committed the crime. However, several important points about Boyd's role became apparent. Limited scrutiny. Defense attorneys later argued that Boyd was never thoroughly investigated as a potential suspect despite being the last known person with Heitholt. Alternative theory. Ferguson's post-conviction legal team highlighted that Boyd's car was parked near Heitholt's, and he admitted to touching Heitholt's car that night, yet prints found on the car were never compared to Boyd's. Missing follow-up. Boyd was never asked to provide DNA samples to compare against unidentified DNA found at the crime scene. The conflict. Boyd neglected to mention the conflict he'd been having with Heitholt about the quality of his writing, and the major mistake he'd recently made was particularly embarrassing to Boyd as a professional writer. After Ferguson's conviction, his father Bill Ferguson and legal team conducted their own investigation, which raised additional questions about Boyd. Alibi questions. They noted that Boyd's alibi for his movements after leaving Heitholt was never fully verified by investigators. Witness statements. Some accounts suggested that the parking lot janitor, Jerry Trump, who later recanted his testimony identifying Ferguson, may have initially described seeing someone who matched Boyd's description rather than Ferguson's. Alternative suspects. Ferguson's attorneys argued that Boyd should have been more thoroughly investigated, along with several other potential suspects who had connections to the area or the victim. But the biggest piece of evidence was never even thought of. Remember those documents found at the crime scene? They were dismissed because Kent was a sports reporter. The only issue is, nobody looked deep enough. Ken was the main sports writer, but he only reported on college and pro sports. Yet the documents and column notes were about high school basketball, a subject Kent had never covered, but someone at the Tribune did cover high school sports. You might have already guessed who that someone was: Michael Boyd. If he left for the night, why were his documents and notes at the crime scene? It's critical to note several key points regarding Boyd's involvement. Michael Boyd has never been charged with any crime connected to Heitholt's murder, and police have never officially named him as a suspect. While Ferguson's defense team raised questions about Boyd, these were investigative questions rather than evidence-based accusations. The focus on Boyd by Ferguson's defense team was largely to highlight the tunnel vision that can occur in investigations. Namely, that once police focused on Ferguson and Erickson, they stopped investigating other possibilities, including more thoroughly examining the last known person to see the victim alive. The case against Ferguson was built entirely on testimony that was later recanted, with no physical evidence. The failure to more thoroughly investigate Boyd and others represents the broader systemic problems with the case rather than specific evidence against Boyd. Michael Boyd's role in this case illustrates a critical aspect of many wrongful conviction cases. When investigators prematurely focus on one suspect, they often fail to properly investigate or rule out other possibilities. The lack of thorough investigation into Boyd and other potential suspects represents a significant failure in the Heitholt murder investigation. What happened to Ryan Ferguson represents one of the most egregious miscarriages of justice in modern American history. An innocent man lost nearly 10 years of his life, while the real killer potentially remained free. Since his release, Ferguson has rebuilt his life remarkably. He received an $11 million settlement for his wrongful conviction, hosted the MTV show Unlocking the Truth about wrongful convictions, and has written a book about his experience. His resilience is nothing short of extraordinary. But I can't help wondering how many other Ryan Fergusons are sitting in prison cells right now, wrongfully convicted based on flawed evidence, false confessions, or prosecutorial misconduct. It's important to add that I believe Charles Erickson was just as much of a victim in this case as Ryan Ferguson. He was ruthlessly manipulated by senior investigators who should have known better, and over the course of 6 months, he was brainwashed into believing he truly committed this vile act. Fortunately, Charles Erickson received parole in January of 2023. And while he must live with his role in the unjust conviction of both himself and his former friend, Ryan Ferguson, he will at least have a chance at building a life for himself, and it's my sincere hope that he could become a victim advocate for the wrongfully accused and incarcerated. If this story moved you as much as it did me, please drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think prosecutors who withhold evidence should face criminal charges themselves? Should there be more accountability in our justice system? And what did you find most disturbing about Ryan's case? Until next time, remember, justice depends on all of us staying vigilant.